Now we're going to do 8.6 day 2. We'll have to get our common denominator this time, so it's a little bit harder. Okay, so we're still solving rational equations. All right, so this one isn't too bad. Now, I think I've shown you this technique once before, but it's been a while. What you want to do is figure out what the common denominator would be. So we need both the x and the 3, so our common denominator on this one would be 3x. Alright, now what we're going to do, instead of adding them together, we are going to multiply through by the common denominator. Every single thing So I'm going to take this whole thing and multiply everything by 3x, and if you want to, you can write that over 1. Think of this as this distributive property, so I'm going to multiply 3x over 1 times 8 over x. And then I'm going to multiply 3x over 1 times 11 over 3. And I'm going to do the same thing to the negative 14 over x. Okay, so then I'm going to have 3x times 8 over x, because 1 times x. And then I'm going to have 3x times 11 over 3, because again we're just multiplying by 1. And then 3x times negative 14 over x. Okay, now what we want to do is reduce anything that we can. So x over x is just 1, so I can reduce that and I'll just get 24. Okay, 3 over 3 is 1, so I'll get plus 11x. And then I've got another x over x, and 3 times negative 14 is negative 42. Then, once I do that, I have a really easy equation to solve. And x just comes out to be negative 6. Okay, so I really want you to learn this technique because it's going to make your life so much easier on these types of problems. And it'll make your life a lot easier when we do this in College Algebra 2. So the first thing you have to do is figure out the common denominator. So they both have an x plus 3, so I know I'm going to need that. And then I'm also going to need this x minus 4. Remember, you need one of everything, or a big enough one to cover everything might be a better way to say that. So again, we're going to multiply everything in this whole problem by the common denominator. Kind of crowded that in there, sorry. And if you want to write it over 1, you can. Alright, so first I'm going to multiply it by this. So I'm going to have x plus 3 times x plus 4 times 3x minus 5. And since I'm just multiplying by 1, that's not going to change any of the denominators. Now 2 doesn't have a denominator, but I still have to multiply it by everything. And this is supposed to be a minus sign. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Alright, So multiplying by all of that, then I'm going to reduce anything I can. So I've got x plus 3 over x plus 3, and that's 1. So I end up with x minus 4 times 3x minus 5. Then nothing happens here, so I'm just going to rewrite it. And then right here, I've got 2 1, so I can just reduce all that, and I'll just have 8. Okay, so now we're going to multiply everything out. So I'd get 3x squared minus 5x minus 12x plus 20. Now, let's leave this 2 until the end, and then let's multiply this out. X squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12. And then close your parentheses, plus 8. Okay, let's see what we can clean up. Combining these two, I get negative 17x. Okay, then let's combine these two. So I just get negative x. Alright, now I need to go ahead and multiply all of that by 2. So this side I'm just rewriting. This side I'm going to distribute through the 2 now. So multiply everything by 2. Okay, then I can combine these two now. So I'm going to write it up here. And minus 2x, and that would give me a negative 16 right there. Okay, now we're going to get it set equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract over my 2x squared. So that would just give me 1x squared. Okay, I'm going to do both of these all at once. So plus 2x plus 16. Just line them up, the like terms. That would give me x squared minus 15x plus 36 equals 0. Okay, now I can factor this with multiply to b, add to b. Multiplies to be 36, adds to be negative 15. Okay, that would be negative 3 and negative 12. Alright, we're almost done. I get 2 possible answers, 3 and 12. Now you do want to check and make sure these numbers are not going to cause you to divide by 0. So on this one, it's going to be fine. If I plug in 3, I'm not going to get a 0, and if I plug in 12, I'm not going to get a 0. But sometimes you will have a problem with that. Okay, we're going to do one more here. Alright, so we're going to solve. That's x squared. Alright, so remember, sometimes we need to factor. We need to factor this before we can find the common denominator. Okay, so that's our difference of perfect squares. So that would factor into x plus 4 and x minus 4. Alright, and nothing else we need to factor. So we know we have an x plus 4, and that'll take care of all these, but we also need an x minus 4 for the common denominator. Okay, so we'll have an x plus 4 times an x minus 4 for our common denominator. Alright, so now we're going to multiply everything by that x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay, so when I do that with the first term, I would get 6x squared times x plus 4, x minus 4. And then let's use this factored form over here, because then we will see what's going to reduce out. And then now I'm going to multiply this one. So x plus 4, x minus 4, all over x plus 4. Okay, and then 4 times all of that. Alright, now that will reduce and that will reduce because they're just 1. So I get 6x squared. And then these will reduce. And then here my x plus 4s will reduce. Okay, so let's clean it up. Distribute through the negative 3x. And then distribute through your 4. Okay, I have a mistake again, guys. This should have been subtraction.
Mrs. Tyvis would like to have a prom committee lunch meeting.
That should have been subtraction.
A prom committee lunch meeting in Mrs. Tyvis'
So
room.
these
Thank
two
you.
actually reduce out, and so this should be 4. Sorry about that. This should be plus 4 right here. And so when I did the distributive property, that should be 4. Alright, so I'm going to get 3x squared when I combine these two, plus 12x equals 4x plus 16. So we'll get it set equal to 0 now. Subtract. Sorry. Okay, minus 4x minus 16 on this side. 3x squared plus 8x minus 16 equals 0. Alright, now we're ready to factor. So remember, I have to multiply these, so times 3 and add to be 8. So negative 48 adds to be 8, and that would be negative 4 and 12. Now I have to use regrouping here. So I'm going to put the 12 here with an x, and then minus 4x. Anytime you have a number in front that's not 1, you have to use regrouping. Factor out a 3x. Factor out a negative 4. Almost done. I know one of my factors is x plus 4, and the other one is 3x minus 4. Okay, so x equals negative 4, and if I set this equal to 0, I'd get 4/3. Alright, now this is one of the situations, if I plug in negative 4, I'm going to get a 0 in the denominator. And so since I can't divide by 0, this is the only solution. So make sure to check for x values that would cause you to divide by 0, because those are not allowed. Alright, and that's the end of day 2.
I think me, Christina, and Taylor Westerman are the ones that are wanting to run. But I know you guys obviously vote, but I thought I'd let you know.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Alright.
Yeah, I'm really around though because I think I'm very much.
Okay, alright.
write that down. Oh, I know. I can't believe it. I keep thinking of things. I have a list over here. That is so weird. Something weird is happening.